Hold on to your seats, folks, because today we're unpacking the most emotional, nerve-wracking, and heart-stopping games in recent memory. The Wallabies, they had it in the bag until they didn't. And I was just watching the game, and man, that last minute, I was actually in tears. Just feel sorry for the Wallabies. The boys gave it their all. I'm super proud of them, mate. They rid them off. For those, said that the Wallabies wasn't gonna, win the series, but man, that performance. Whew, I think this team, is going to be dangerous in the Rugby Championship, and and I'm super proud of our Aussie brothers. Unfortunately, they didn't get the win, which they should have got the win. But hey, rugby is a cool sport. But credit to the Lions, all the drama with the whole, the ruck, situation. It was supposed to be a penalty, but hey, it is what it is, and fair call, I guess. But first things first, I gotta say, some people complain about the ruck, that call, those dying minutes, I should say seconds, but people would say that's a penalty, every day. I am gutted as you are, for those who, are heartbroken from that call. But, before we jump into the controversial, let's just take a moment and just appreciate, what this game meant. The Wallabies were, close to, taking that trophy back to the Southern Hemisphere, but then, a decision, from the referee, completely flipped the script. Things just changed. And, as a Wallaby fan, it hurts, but that stung deep, but hey, let's just focus on the positives. I guess when we look at this game, I think the Wallabies came out on fire in the first, 40 minutes, over 60%, possessions, they were dominating the breakdowns, keeping the Lions, defense, on their toes, with slick handling and powerful, powerful carries. They were clinical, especially in the first 30 minutes, of the game, a 23-5 lead. At one point, that's huge, but just as quickly as they were in control, they let the Lions back into the game, leaking 2 tries in the last 10 minutes of the first half, and, taking only a 6-point, lead into the break. And then, the second half, I thought, started with hope. The Wallabies managed to keep the Lions, in check for a while, but the damage wasn't done. After that promising start, they couldn't maintain their momentum, and sure, they managed a penalty to extend the lead, but the Lions, they were roaring. They didn't give up, and they fought back, with 2 tries, including, the dagger in the 80 minutes, which flipped the lead and ultimately, sealed the game. Now, I thought it was poor officiating from Ben O'Keefe regarding, Genji in the scrum when he was pulling the front row down. That was definitely a penalty every day of the week. Some missed calls, that could have gone, the Wallabies' way, but unfortunately, Ben O'Keefe didn't make that decision and didn't call it, so I thought that was disappointing. Yeah, I guess the Lions were building phases after phases and, trying to break through the Wallabies defence. And one last time, and this is where it gets tough, when I was watching it for us, Wallaby fans, I mean, Morgan and, you know, Tisano, arrive at the ruck together, both low, both, you know, committing fully. But I'm sorry, this was Hollywood. um, yeah, he tried to play it, he tried. Fair call, credit to the referee. I mean, fair call from the ref, but people might say it's a penalty, as I mentioned. But yeah, Morgan's clean out. Yeah, it could have been high. I'm not sure, but the referee did, fair call, I guess. I think Australia did, pull off a Hollywood stunt there, but it didn't work. And look, I'm not just upset, but I support the Wallabies, and I'm upset because it could have gone their way. There were some opportunities, penalties that could have gone their way, but hey, it is what it is. But this isn't hate, against the Lions. I mean, it's far from it. The Lions played incredibly in the second half, and they deserve it. They showed resilience. They took their opportunities, and they earned that victory. So credit to them. For never giving up and finding a way to, to break through when it matters most. So, but let's not ignore the fact that this game was the Wallabies. To lose. I mean, as a fan, I could tell you, it's gut wrenching. It hurts. For the players. The Wallabies gave it their all. They push and fought. And sacrificed here in the final moments. But it was a decision that felt like a dagger. To the heart. For some. But I know a lot of people will say, the Wallabies should have, closed it out early, or they should have allowed that momentum, shift in the first half. But it doesn't change the fact that in that moment, the referee missed, some big calls. But hey, that's tough. It's tough to take, but that's rugby. But with that loss, I guess the trophy heads back to the Northern Hemisphere. So congratulations to the Lions. And while the Wallabies might be devastated, this isn't the end. They've shown they can hang in there, and they're our best team. You know, they've got talent. They've got the fight, and they've got potential to bounce back even stronger. But for now, it's a painful reminder that the smallest moments, those split-second calls, can decide the fate of a game. So to all my Wallabies fans, out there, I feel you, man. Yeah, I feel you because I was watching the game too, and man, man, my heart just sunk. But yeah, this one was brutal. But in the end, we've got to be fair. The Lions deserve to win, but the ref's decision at the ruck, fair call, I guess, it is, fair call. But that one will sting for a very long time. To everyone who supported the Wallabies, through this whole, journey and the tournament, keep your heads up. The team is one to watch, and I believe they'll come back stronger, especially in the Rugby Championship just around the corner. But yeah, the Wallabies, they were the best, in that tournament, and yeah. So there you have it, guys. If you agree or disagree of my, my thoughts, just hit that like button and leave a comment, and let's keep this conversation going. What did you guys think of the game? Was that call from the ref? Was that the right call, or was that a fair call? But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe for more rugby content. And keep supporting your rugby teams, and keep the rugby spirit alive. And to all my Wallabies fans, much love. We will see you in the next video.